Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our webinar this evening. We're going to be talking about Match Week, and really we're going to dive real deep on the SOAP. Here, we're mostly here to answer questions you sent in advance, or we're going to do a live Q&A at the end as well. My name is Sarah Godfrey. I've been a tutor with MST for about 4 years now, and I'm also a third-year internal medicine resident at Columbia. And tonight, I'll let my co-host introduce herself.
My name's Arti Agarwal. I'm a PGY2 resident at Thomas Jefferson in ENT. I've been working with MST for about 2 and some change years now with med school tutoring, residency tutoring, and consulting.
All right, so in terms of who we are, just briefly, MST has more than 15 years of experience in helping people with the full range of the medical school and residency process, from your step exams to residency consulting, and we're here to help you guys. Oh, go right ahead.
So just in terms of a brief overview of what we're going to talk about today, we'll get into more nitty-gritty details with all of these things. But for every day here, we have a brief guideline, timeline of what will be happening during SOAP week. And I think it'll be available to everyone in the chat. It's just on the AAMC website, but it kind of just shows Monday, things get kicked off. You kind of find out if you match or not. And then SOAP kind of progresses on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then Friday is match day, as everyone knows.
Great. And so now we're going to kind of go day by day, almost hour by hour, what exactly is going to be happening. Okay, so tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and everyone remember that's daylight savings, in case that changes your time frame. And you will get an email, or you can log into the NRMP website to see if you have matched. This includes if you have matched into a categorical position, but also if you're someone who is dual applying to a prelim and advanced, it'll tell you which and if both you have matched into. If you have matched, there's nothing that you need to do until Friday when you find out where you match. If you did not match, then it's time to enter the SOAP. And this picture here is from the NRMP website, where you can find a lot of the pictures of what it's going to look like tomorrow if you have questions after the webinar. But if you see right here under the top heading of SOAP, that's where you're going to find your list of unfilled programs that are available for the SOAP.
So entering the SOAP on Monday, what does that mean? So between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., so after you've kind of found out whether you've matched or not, you can log into the NRMP website. And as we can see in this image here, it kind of shows you, which admittedly is a little fuzzy, but it's just kind of to show you a guide of what the website's going to kind of look like. It's going to show you all the unfilled programs, and you can search based on various things. You'll be able to search based on specialty and based on program. And you'll only be able to see the types of programs that you're eligible for. So what does that mean? Whether you've matched into just a prelim or just a advanced program, the opposite would be available for you. And if you haven't matched into either, then both will be available for you. And we'll go into a little bit further detail with that a little bit later in our webinar today.
Okay, so during that time frame, you're going to be looking at that list of programs, and you're allowed to pick no more than 45 programs total. No matter what the specialty, no matter if they're prelim or advanced, it's 45 programs total. During that time in the ERAS application or the ERAS website, you could upload any new personal statements, letters, or anything else you want to, and then you have to apply through the ERAS website to those 45 programs. And you have to make sure that your application is certified the same way it was during the main match to make sure that you have applied in the SOAP. And kind of as Arti was saying, if you have already matched into a prelim program, you could only SOAP into an advanced, and vice versa. If you've matched into your advanced program but not a prelim, you could only apply to prelim. If you have not matched in either, you can apply to any combination for 45 total programs that you want to.
So then how do you kind of go about the application process once you've decided the programs that you're seeing in the NRMP website? How do you go about doing the application in the ERAS portal? So on the top, you can see this image is available through the NRMP and AAMC website, but you can see on here, the graphic number 1 is showing you how many programs you've already chosen. And like we've mentioned already, there's 45 total applications that you can send out. So you can keep track of that at the top. And then 2 is going to be where you can search for programs. So those are available both on the NRMP website and through ERAS. You can figure out which programs you want to apply to and select them through there. And then 3, it's showing whether you're eligible for applying to that program. And then 4 shows programs that you've actually selected, and you can kind of go on through there. And you have to finish the application process through ERAS, and that means your letters of recommendation, your personal statement, everything will be through the ERAS website. I don't know if you had anything further to say about this slide, Sarah.
Just for number 3, ERAS will not let you apply to a program that's not open for SOAP, or that is in a category that you're not eligible for. So that is just verifying for you that you're not applying to a program that has already filled their spots.
Mm-hmm.
So you've certified your application, everything's in to your 45 programs. At 3 p.m., programs can start downloading the applications that they've received. And that's when they may start reaching out to you by phone or email to arrange for interviews. Every program can decide on what an interview entails. That can be a short phone conversation, it can be a Zoom. It's entirely up to each program. Now, it's very important, that's why it's bolded on this slide. You cannot contact a program, and no one who knows you can contact a program unless they contact you first. That's considered a SOAP violation, and then you'll be removed from the match. So I just want to make sure that's super clear. I don't want anyone to get in trouble without knowing what they're doing.
Yeah. Just to reiterate, that means between 11 and 3, that's when you're submitting your application. And at 3, the application portal is now closed. Theoretically, you can still apply for programs after this point, but we always recommend everyone applies to all their programs before 3 o'clock in this first round of kind of application. Okay, so now what happens on Tuesday? You've applied to all the programs, and I think right after you have submitted your applications between 3 and now Tuesday, programs will contact you for interviews, and those will be either over the phone or on Zoom, or kind of what you've already been accustomed to this application cycle, doing everything virtually. So maybe that's a little blessing in disguise that you've already prepared for this type of application process. And it's important to note that unlike the match, there is no rank list for applicants, and everything is kind of prioritized based on programs preferences. So while in the main match, everything preferences the applicant, now it preferences the program. So what does that mean for you? Like we just mentioned, you should be applying to all of your programs ahead of time on that Monday morning between 11 and 3, because at this point, programs are going to be looking at all the applications that they've received, and they likely will not be going back and looking at more applications after that point. So once you've submitted your application and interviews have been done Monday afternoon, programs will now make their preference lists, and you are not ranking or submitting anything. And the waiting will begin for you until Tuesday, March 16th at 12, which is the first round of the SOAP.
Okay, so now the rounds of the SOAP. This year there are 4, which is 1 more than there usually have been. Each round is 2 hours long. So starting at Wednesday at noon, you can log into the NRMP website where you'll see if you have received an offer. If you receive an offer, you can accept it, reject it, or let it expire. But letting it expire is essentially the same as rejecting the offer. You will not be offered a spot at that program again. And I have to say that if you get an offer, it is in your best interest to accept the offer. as each round goes on, the odds of matching are lower because there are fewer spots to match into. You can, on the other hand, get multiple offers in a round and then choose which one of those that you would like to accept. I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to add, Arthi.
Yeah, I mean, just it's important to note that the offers that you get won't come back. They'll go to someone else. So if you're getting multiple offers in round one, we, like Sarah said, highly recommend that you take one of those offers. And if it's only one offer, you take that offer, unless you are okay with not matching over the offer that you've received, because that is a high likelihood as you go farther and farther into the rounds.
Exactly. And if you only have 45 applications, hopefully you weren't applying to any programs that you would rather not match than go to.
Definitely. So now what happens between Wednesday and Thursday in the SOAP? As Sarah mentioned, you can see on this image that this person, this theoretical person, has 2 offers here, and they can view their offers. It shows you the program, the specialty, and you can, if you click view offer, it'll give you the option to accept the offer, reject the offer, and like Sarah mentioned, you can just let the offer sit there, which it's pretty similar to rejecting the offer. And that this is how it'll appear for you on SOAP day. And as we mentioned before, and as mentioned on the slide, you can apply to programs after the point on Monday between that 11 and 3 slot when applicants are initially applying. But we don't recommend that because the likelihood programs will be reviewing more applications and changing their preference list is very, very low. So definitely apply to all the programs before. And like we mentioned before, use all 45 of your offers. This is your time to apply to all 45 programs and hopefully secure yourself a residency for the coming year.
Okay, so Thursday at 3 p.m. is kind of your next deadline after all those rounds have happened. If you have accepted an offer, you're done. Just so you don't panic, you will not get an email on match day telling you where you matched because you already know where you matched from the SOAP. You can keep logging into NRMP and see your match offer there just to reassure yourself, but don't worry if you don't get the email on match day. If on Thursday at 3 p.m. you have not secured yourself a spot in the SOAP, then on the NRMP website, they're going to list any unfilled positions that did not fill during the SOAP. And now the SOAP rules no longer apply. You can reach out to every single one of those programs yourself and ask about filling any of those spots outside the match. Or anyone of your mentors or anyone can call those programs to advocate for you to get one of those spots.
Yeah. There's just a couple questions about some clarification with the timeline that we've kind of gone through already. On Tuesday, for clarification, there are no offers. Offers begin on Wednesday in that first round. And then in terms of offers expiring within each round, yes, they do expire. So if you do not accept an offer in that first round, in the next round, you won't see that offer anymore. It'll be given to the next people on the preference list of the program.
And someone asked, just to clarify, you accept offers in the NRMP website. Apart from the application process on Monday, everything else is going to be on NRMP. The actual application part is on ERAS. It's very confusing about the 2 websites, but after Monday, everything should be on NRMP.
Okay.
And how long will the offer be available? 2 hours. Each round is 2 hours.
It's a quick turnaround. So then on Thursday, as Sarah mentioned, it's all the programs that have unfilled spots. Similarly to before, you can see on this infographic, it shows right next to that SOAP tab, unfilled list. So you can contact all the programs. We highly recommend that if you have advisors or people in the field that are your mentors, you should have them contact people for you. If they have any contacts, you should have them contact for you. And also you can contact for yourself. And it's important to note that these spots are available to everyone who is not matched at this point. So it's in your best interest to contact them as early as possible with your application materials and your interest to try to secure yourself a spot for the next, for residency.
And then Friday, finally the end of the week, a little bit different. In previous years, it was 1 p.m. This year at 12 p.m. Eastern time, you will get an email with your final match results if you did not get your spot in the SOAP. Just to say that one more time, if you match in the SOAP, you will not get an email, but on the NRMP website, it'll show you where you SOAPed. Okay, so just a little bit about us. We've kind of talked about MST at the beginning, but our residency consulting services, we help people through the entire process, especially right now as we're talking about the SOAP. So if any questions come up for you tonight, you can reach out to us tomorrow, and we can get you linked up with a tutor as fast as possible to answer any burning questions that we haven't been able to answer tonight. So now we're going to go to the questions you guys sent in advance, and we'll also try to answer some of the questions that are coming into the chat. So type in anything that comes up for you. So why don't you start us off, Arti?
Yeah, no problem. So like Sarah mentioned, we're just going to go through some questions that we got ahead of time, and we'll be taking note of the chat to add any other questions that people have. I guess first question is, can I enter the SOAP if I did not enter the main match? And the answer is yes. If you are registered through the NRMP, you can enter the SOAP even if you did not enter the main match. However, you do have to be eligible for the match. And that means that you're graduating. For IMGs, there's another website that Sarah is
ECFMG.
ECFMG. I was about to mix up the letters. I knew it. And also you have to, like I said, be registered for the match through NRMP, which the deadline for that has passed. But if you are registered, even if you did not apply, you can enter the SOAP. How do you
optimize your chances to match in the SOAP? So this is a little bit specific to each person, but we've talked about some of them. Use all of your 45 spots. Make sure all of your applications are in before the 3 p.m. deadline tomorrow. Try to have geographically diverse group of programs that you're applying to. Everyone's going to try and snatch up programs that are available in New York or California. So if you are someone who can move elsewhere, think about that. Maybe think about applying into a less competitive specialty if there are a lot of openings available in general surgery. Think about if that's something you could be happy matching into. So I think those are a lot of ways that most people can optimize your chances to match.
Definitely. So the next question we have is, can you make changes to your application on My ERAS, the CV, personal statement, letters of recommendation when you reapply for SOAP? So there are certain areas that you can edit and you can change. You can have new letters of recommendation uploaded. It might be kind of difficult as you find out in the morning, and then you have to submit your application by 3 p.m. But if you do have a good mentor or faculty in your medical school who's willing to write that for you, it cannot hurt you to upload a new letter of recommendation. You can also update your personal statement. So if you're applying to a completely different specialty this time around, or if things have changed in your life and you want to update parts of your personal statement, you can do that, but there is a very short turnaround. If you're expecting that you might be SOAPing, you can start working on that today or tomorrow early morning. But your CV cannot be changed. So all of your activities and the descriptions and everything for those remain the same. So the two things that you can really change are your personal statement and letter of recommendation. And we don't necessarily say that you need to change those, but if you have the time or the capability and it's relevant to your application to change it, certainly you can do that. And then kind of a second question for this is, should your personal statement mention why you think you SOAPed? And we always recommend at MST that upfront in your first personal statement, if there's any glaring red flags that you want to address, it's already addressed. So at this point, everyone's aware that you're soaping. There's no reason to necessarily address that in your personal statement. And if they have any particular questions, then those will be addressed during the interview.
And then the next one we got was about entering the soap, and then how hard is it to apply to a different specialty? So this might be the only case where I think it's possibly worth it to write a new personal statement if you're applying to a drastically different specialty than what you were initially applying into. So if you were applying into neurosurgery and now you're trying to soap into family medicine, it might be time to change up your personal statement a little bit. However, if it's adjacent to your field, that's not really a reason to change your application overall. And also, everyone is kind of aware of what's going on in the soap. So as long as you can sell it to a program director that you are happy to match into whatever specialty you're applying into, and you have a good story about why you can still meet your career goals in that specialty, you shouldn't have an issue. And for adjacent specialties, it's really not that hard to go from internal medicine to family medicine, or a surgical subspecialty to general surgery. I don't know if you have anything else you would add, Arthi.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the SOAP process is tough in general, but everyone, like you said, is aware of what's happening. A lot of people are applying to different specialties now, and programs are used to this kind of happening. So you should definitely be able to say why you want to do the specialty, but it wouldn't be a huge, huge surprise to them if you're changing specialties at this point. So the next question we have is, what does partially matched mean? And we tried to address this a little bit before, but basically this means that if you had initially applied to a prelim and advanced program, or a transitional and an advanced program versus a categorical program, then you might end up partially matched. And so now what does that mean? A prelim program is a one-year program in general surgery or internal medicine that kind of is a bridge to your full advanced program. So that'll be for specialties like radiology or anesthesia or dermatology.
Dermatology.
So for these specialties, you have a prelim and then you have an advanced program, and some of them also have categoricals, which means that all of it is built into one. So you have a 1 year of internal medicine or general surgery and then into your subspecialty. And partially matched will mean that you have a prelim or an advanced program, but not both. So that means that you would be eligible to SOAP into the opposite. So if you have a prelim program, you can SOAP into an advanced program. And if you have an advanced program, you can SOAP into a prelim program.
So, and then I think this kind of relates to some of the questions earlier. If you're SOAPing into a prelim program, do you need to write a new personal statement? I think the answer is probably not, unless you're trying to go from a surgical specialty to an internal medicine prelim program, or kind of vice versa. I think if they are adjacent fields, that you shouldn't have to write a new personal statement.
Yeah, I agree with that. Should you apply to programs in the SOAP that you already applied to in the main match? This is a question that we get a lot. Generally, we don't recommend that you would apply to the same programs that you had already applied to in the main match. Especially if you've already gotten an interview and you did not match there and they have an open spot. That would mean that they did not rank you, and the likelihood that they're going to want to rank you the second time around is pretty low. So we definitely think that it's in your best interest to get a fresh new program on your list that you can apply to at this point. You only have 45 programs, so you want to take advantage of those 45 programs. And then if you didn't get an interview, I would say that most of the time we don't recommend that you apply. If for some reason your spouse is at this program and this is the only program that you feel like you can be at, then go ahead, apply to the program. But likelihood that if they glossed over your application the first time, that they'll not offer an interview the second time is pretty high.
I would agree with that. So kind of going into the 45 programs, which I think is a lot of the questions we get, is 45 programs total, regardless of the type or specialty. And so then everyone kind of wants to know how to best utilize they're 45 tickets, essentially, or 45 applications. And it's hard to say what balance of prelim, transitional, categorical programs depends a little bit on you and your application. But as we've said earlier, you should make sure that you do all 45 upfront on time and don't save any for additional rounds, because those are kind of wasted opportunities. And trying to have as diverse a group of 45 programs as you can to give yourself kind of a broad range of opportunities to get interviews. Do you have any other ideas, Arthi?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're hitting it right on the head, that you want to try to be geographically broad. And if you can pick different specialties that you're a good applicant for, then definitely do that. And again, it's 45 programs, no matter what the specialty, 45 programs. And if you're doing prelims and categoricals or prelims and advanced, it's still 45. You don't get 45 prelims and 45 advanced programs. So what will a SOAP interview look like? A SOAP interview will look a lot like a normal interview. It'll probably be a little bit shorter. Many of them might be over the phone, although this year with Zoom being the baseline, maybe more of them will be over Zoom than have been in the past, especially with all the interviewers knowing how to use Zoom this year and applicants being prepared for Zoom. So you should expect it to be either over the phone or over Zoom. I think there's probably a very low likelihood that if you're in the area, there might be in-person interviews. I know in the past that's been a thing, but I don't know if that'll be with this cycle. And in terms of the questions that they're going to ask, it's going to be very similar to your traditional interview that you would have for residency. And if you have any further specific questions about interviews, I'm sure we'd be happy to answer those. But just know that it's going to be similar to a normal residency interview.
Exactly. I think the only kind of going to the next question of what interview questions you can expect, beyond the usual, tell me about yourself, your career goals. I think programs will be direct about asking about red flags because there's such a short turnover. And the other thing is, if you are jumping specialties or locations, they may ask you why. So I think you should have a good story for why you're switching to a new specialty. But otherwise, I think it'll be pretty similar to interviews you got through the main match.
Can the interviews be offered throughout the day, or is there a designated scheduled block of interview time? So I don't believe there's a designated block of interview time, but it will be after that 3 p.m. on Monday. So once all those applications are submitted, it's pretty much free game for programs that you've applied to contact you. I think generally they'll contact you over email, but you might get a phone call directly. So be prepared for that. And I imagine they won't be offering interviews throughout the night, but it'll probably be during that afternoon. And I'm sure some programs will also contact on Tuesday morning, since they don't have to start submitting their ranks until 11:30. So those are kind of the times, either Tuesday morning or Monday afternoon for interviews.
Some people have asked me whether or not they should sleep in a suit so that they're ready for an interview at any time of day or night. I think be reasonable. I don't think programs are going to be awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, but also recognize that a lot of this is going to be on Eastern time, is when all the deadlines are. So I think reasonably up to 9 or 10 p.m., then take a break and get up early the next morning and be ready to hear from anyone. And kind of going into the next question was recommendations for finding positions post-SOAP. So this is where on Thursday at 3 p.m. you go into the NRMP website and look at the list of unfilled programs. So I think we've kind of talked about this a little bit already in terms of having your mentors reach out for you, the dean of your medical school, reaching out to those programs yourself. There are also some websites popping up that are trying to help people match outside the normal cycle. And so those are some options that you can look into to see if they can help you as well. But really, once it's post-SOAP, it's a little bit luck, a little bit kind of cold calling programs to try and get a position.
Yeah, cast a wide net and do it early.
All right, so I think that is the end of all of the pre-sent in questions. So why don't we see what we can answer if there are any questions we haven't gotten to in the chat.
So there is a question here that says, should I apply for a spot at a program I interviewed at but did not match? And I know we mentioned this, but just in case you missed it during the first round, we had kind of mentioned that a lot of times if you've already interviewed at a program and did not match there, that likely means if they have an open spot, it's not likely, it means that they did not rank you. So we would generally not recommend that you apply to that program again, because the likelihood that they're going to rank you the second time is pretty low.
Some people are asking, should you prioritize categorical, prelim, or transitional? And I think that is sort of a personal decision. In some ways, matching into a categorical program ends your experience with the match. You have gotten your spot, you're gonna go on to finish a residency and then go from there. However, if there are not categorical spots open in the specialty of your dreams, getting a prelim spot for a year and then trying to match again next year can be an option. So it's really down to what you want to match into. Are you willing to re-enter the match next year? All of those sorts of things. And also what, spots are available tomorrow.
There's also a question over here that says, if I use all 45 of my applications on Monday and don't have any interviews or offers by Wednesday, should I reach out to programs that have unfilled spots listed on the unfilled programs tab? So just to clarify the timeline, you apply to all your programs by Monday, and then that unfilled spots will not come out until Thursday at 3. So at that point, yes, you should reach out to programs that have unfilled spots, and that's at the point where you can reach out yourself. Before then, you cannot reach out. So wait until that 3 p.m. on Thursday if you don't happen to get any interviews or offers before then.
Because even if you know that you didn't get any interviews, if you have a SOAP violation, it can kick you out of both the SOAP and penalize you for the next year's match, just to make sure that's clear. And then there's also a question about, can you apply to specialties if your letters of recommendation are in a different specialty? Everyone is aware in the SOAP that people are making changes. If you're going to a wildly different specialty, that can be an opportunity to change a paragraph in your personal statement to say why this would still work for you. But you do not need to try to find new letters of recommendation. As long as the people who wrote them initially know you well and advocated for you, it shouldn't matter what their specialty is.
It appears there's still a lot of questions about the timeline. I think that infographic that we sent at the beginning would be really helpful for that, just in terms of when interviews are and when each round is. And I think Sarah's going to bring it up for us now as well. Just to keep that with you this week, to kind of remember when interviews are, which will be Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning. And then the rounds are on Wednesday and Thursday, with the unfilled list coming out on Thursday at 3.
Then some people are asking about kind of partially matched. Should you tell programs if you've partially matched? I think if you already have an advanced position and you're looking for a prelim position, it doesn't hurt to tell them that you have further career plans, it's already lined up, and that their prelim program will help you continue on your residency pathway.
Yeah, and I think that the match, if you've matched into an advanced program, there's a lot of prelim spots available in the SOAP. And I've heard even that there's some programs that only interview people through the SOAP. So despite all negative feelings, you're actually in a pretty good spot if that's the case. I think there's also some questions just about if you match into a prelim this year, what that means for the next year. And generally that means that you would be doing the match again, whether that be for the same specialty that you initially applied for or a different specialty, whether it's for another prelim year and then an advanced program. But if you match into just a prelim year, that's only 1 year of residency. So you still have to enter the match again the following year.
Someone's asking to see the slide of the 3-step process. So here's NRMP, here's the list of programs on NRMP, and this is the ERAS site with the different steps, which has the number of programs you've applied to already, searching for the programs, and then are you eligible for that spot, meaning that they have a SOAP spot available and it's the type of program that you are eligible to SOAP into, and then save those programs, submit, and certify your application.
There's also questions about what's available through the SOAP, and prelim spots and advanced spots are both available through the SOAP, as are categorical spots. However, all of those combined equal 45 applications. So if you're applying to a prelim and an advanced, then you would only have 45 total for both.
A couple people have asked about the difference between transitional and prelim programs. In a lot of ways, they're very similar, and they're variable. The rotations that people in prelim programs do are dependent on the program. So in some hospitals, anesthesia will only rotate through like surgical subspecialties. In some hospitals, they'll rotate through medicine, surgery, peds, OB-GYN, etc. So, and transitional is similar. So I think the terms are pretty, you can use them kind of interchangeably.
Yeah, I think in terms of differences between the two, I think transitionals oftentimes just give you a couple more electives than prelims do, but they still serve the same purpose to get you to that advanced program or like your long-term program.
And then someone's asking about, can you get into both a SOAP, can you SOAP into both a prelim and advanced? Theoretically, you can, because you can apply to both prelim and advanced positions. And if you are able to get offer, a prelim offer and an advanced offer and accept both, that is possible. But with only 45 applications, it can be tricky to match into 2 different spots out of those 45, but it's possible. Okay, if anyone has any last minute questions, throw them into the chat. Otherwise, good luck to all of you. I know this is an incredibly stressful week, and we're hoping that all of you are able to get a position that is all that you hope and dream that it will be.
I think there was one last minute question about submitting applications beyond 3 p.m. Just to reiterate, we recommend that you submit all of your applications before 3 p.m. while it's still possible to submit them after.
All right. Good luck to everyone and have a great evening. Try to stay calm until tomorrow.
Good luck.